4:30.
You can only imagine. I think there's a song like that.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. We will call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. At this time, item number 1 is the consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
So move.
For motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have our motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. At this time, we are going to move down to item number 4.1 to introduce a memorial plaque honoring former Mayor Bob Boisman. We do have an oral presentation from Councilor Schultz. Councilor Schultz, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mayor and councilors and city staff. It's my duty and pleasure and honor today to present the new plaque from Robert Boisman. As most of you all recall, Robert was our mayor from 2010 to 2021. And I looked back at a little bit of his information and I found an article that talked about Bob's goals. What did he want to do as mayor? And in there was really interesting. He said the first thing he wanted to do was to complete Highway 14 and get on that committee and work hard on that project. Check mark. Then he said he wanted to include more fun. You got to remember, this is back in 2009 and 10 when he was coming up with these goals. He wanted more fun things to do for children. And this was, again, before the rec center had opened up. So that opened up with some new rec stuff, and the splash bed came around to our community. So again, another check mark for what Bob wanted to do. And he wanted to expand the trails. He wanted more things to do, connecting the trails. Back then, we had some trails, but they weren't all connected very well. And so that happened during his tenure. So Bob worked really hard on trying to get some of these projects done, and people made comments similar to his work was outstanding. He really loved our community. It was obvious he cared about our city. And being president of the Highway 14 partnership and getting involved in a variety of different things as mayor was beneficial to all of us in this community. I did look in 2015, and I think some of you were probably around then. Bob had got a letter in the mail, somebody complaining that they had came to town and they wanted to go shopping, and they did. And they went out for dinner or lunch and came back and got a parking ticket. And they weren't real happy about that. And they were from out of town. They didn't know there was a 2-hour parking limit. So he went to work on that issue, and he changed it. So if you park downtown on Minnesota Street to this day, over the 2-hour limit, you get a warning now. Especially, and if you're from out of town, you don't know, and you're parking maybe between the signs and you didn't see it. Most people that are from town know there's a 2-hour parking limit and make accommodations for that. So that whole policy was developed by Bob. So I sat 11 years in my chair next to Bob, or close to Bob, and of course got poked and teased a few times because he liked to do that and giggle and joke. But again, today we're here to unveil the new plaque honoring Mayor Boisman. On the back wall, you'll see it's been tradition for those elected mayors to have a plaque on their behalf. And it's developed and put together by the family. So Cheryl and her family got together and worked on this, and we're prepared to officially unveil it tonight. So Cheryl, first of all, would you like to introduce your family? Who's all here?
My daughter Erin, I should say our daughter, our youngest daughter Erin, our 2 middle grandsons, Dash and Jason. By the way, just to let you all know, Dash is a published author at age 10.
Wow, look at
She
that.
has been in, what's Kate's last name? I can't say it, you say it. Camillo. She's a very, some of you may know, she is a very, what do I say? She's written a lot of children's books. And she has been in contact with Dash, and he's writing his third book in the series. And then we have Jace. He's our World War II expert. He knows probably more about World War II than many of you here, and I kid you not.
Wow.
And my sister Jamie is here.
Wonderful. So let's go back to the plaque then, Jamie and
Erin? Cheryl. Me? Okay.
So this is the plaque in the back that the family put together. It says, Mayor Robert Boisman loved New Ulm, and the New Ulm loved him. He received the Jack Murray Award for Distinguished Rural Leadership. He won the Excellence in Service Award from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota. He served as president of the Highway 14 Partnership Coalition. After years of work, he was instrumental in obtaining funding for the Highway 14 four-lane expansion project. Honored as Tourism Person of the Year, Boisman was a dedicated ambassador for New Ulm, both before and during his tenure as mayor. Boisman served as mayor for years, very respected for what he has done. So with that, let's give a round of applause for the new plaque. Anything you'd like to say?
You said most of it already. Yeah, Bob always New Ulm. When Bob was in Vietnam, I kid you not, his commanding officer was from Norwood, Young America, which is, when you think of how many people were in Vietnam at the time, to have somebody that close. They talked New Ulm. He was already pushing it way back in 1969, and he'd only been here since '67. Bob rode that beautiful float that is now defunct, I'm sorry to say. But when he would go down the parade routes, he would say, come to New Ulm, come and see Herman, come and listen to our glockenspiel, go look at the brewery gardens, they're beautiful in the summer. And then he'd talk about the next festival that was coming up, and there's always been a festival coming up in New Ulm, as we all know. Then Bob became mayor, and like you said, his main goal was to get the funding pushed through for Highway 14, which he finally did. And he was president of the Highway 14 Coalition. The now president, after Bob had passed away, said to me, he worked so many hours that even some of the council people probably don't know about because he worked on some of them from home. He worked on this and got this through, and now he can rest in peace.
And I just thought of one other thing that it wasn't that many years ago when Bob didn't like that Christmas tree out there. He liked the tree, but he didn't like the ornaments. They were too small.
And there weren't enough lights on it.
And not enough lights.
Not enough lights.
So he went to town, he brought that to the council, and he said, can I get some money to fix this and make this look like a really nice city tree? And he did.
And now when people drive down Broadway, we have something that is very respectable to look at. We don't
Yes.
have a puny little tree with 3 light bulbs on it. Besides, I like a lot of lights too, and as first lady at the time, this is what we're gonna do, so. Those of you who know me, know. Okay. Aaron, did you want to say anything?
There's time.
No? Yes?
Yeah, if there's time.
Yes, there's time.
Yeah,
Hey, this
absolutely.
is the time. They
Yeah.
will listen to you today.
Yes, please.
All right. I decided to speak today because not only was speaking to a crowd one of the best things that my dad could do, but also because he deserves it. Speaking on behalf of my family, I can do this. We wanted to take the time to recognize our dad and his exemplary tenure as mayor of New Ulm as we watch this plaque go up in his honor. As hard as it is not to see him sitting up here in person instead. Okay, I hope it is well known and never forgotten just how dedicated, proud, and honored our dad was as at his elected position to not only represent New Ulm and its constituents, but to lead with dignity, kindness, honesty, and fairness. Many a holiday came and went with my dad excusing himself from the family to take a phone call from a concerned constituent or answer an email from a committee member within the city. In fact, I can remember more than one Christmas Eve that my dad, as a committed mayor, would take phone calls made to him directly about an issue or question. Now, in hindsight, I can see that while his family always came number one, New Ulm was always a very close second. This type of dedication and passion that we, his loving family, saw from behind the scenes may not be well known, or at the very least as well respected as it should be. Our dad left us way too soon. He had so much more that he wanted to do for this city, and he could have done it too. His accomplishments will never be lost to any of us in our family. I came here tonight from over an hour away, and I brought my 2 sons to witness this event to help them remember their grandpa's honor, his legacy, his kindness, and his dedication as they grow. I may not be able to control the world that they grow up in, but they were blessed to have as much time with their grandpa that they did to learn the exact traits and lessons that he showed to us all. My niece, Bob's granddaughter, who had the longest time with him, is carrying on his legacy of honor and dedication as she continues her next steps in life. And my nephew, who had the least amount of time to learn from Grandpa, will have moments like tonight and the stories that we all share about his lifetime, passion, and wonderful character to help guide him. Along with my niece, my nephew, and my 2 sons, I can only hope that other people in this world can learn the lessons from Bob Boisman that my family is so proud of. I am not a citizen of New Ulm. I am not a New Ulm taxpayer. I can't vote in the area. So I'm not sure how much my speech or my thoughts will matter to the present audience before me. But I certainly hope that anyone who has been up here with my dad during his tenure, worked for the city or with the city during his time as mayor, is sitting up here today, or anyone who will take any of these seats in the future, has learned, is learning, or will learn to lead their positions in the manner that my dad did so well. One of our dad's most famous life lessons that he believed in, especially when serving as the mayor, was that if he didn't know the answer to a question or a problem, he would absolutely try to find the right answer or person who did. He would listen, he would be kind, he would be compassionate, and he truly cared to make this city a better place. We all miss him terribly, but that list of accomplishments printed on the plaque hanging here tonight is only a fraction of the accomplishments that we could have listed. In honor of our dad, of their grandpa, we hope everyone can be a little bit more Bob, because Bob was a good mayor, a loyal mayor, a dedicated mayor, and he did the right things. It's all that I can hope for my children, for my niece, for my nephew, and I'm hoping it's what everyone else up here can strive for as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, and what a nice dedication service for our former mayor.
Thank you. Item number 2.1, raffles and gambling permit for Farm City Hub Club.
I'll offer a motion to approve the issuance of lawful gambling permit for Farm City Hub Club to conduct raffle gambling at the Royal Oak Center on 301 20th South Street on Friday, September 13th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 3.1, summary of business conducted during board and commission meetings.
I can start. We had a EDA meeting this past week. Again, looking at a planning meeting coming up. We just set a date for that. We have the West Ridge Open House coming up this Thursday at 5 o'clock. I also have the cable agenda, finally, we're meeting, and so, but that's also at 4:30 on Thursday, so, but I'll make both. I think that's all I have.
Okay, due to lack of agenda items, there was not an HPC meeting. The Park and Rec Commission did meet, very busy agenda. We'll be dealing with 3 of those items further down the agenda. But at this time, I'd like to call Joey Schugel up to the podium, please. I was kind of bummed this morning. The Park and Rec Commission received information on an award Mr. Schugel got, and the Journal stole my thunder, so most of you are aware of it. But I do want to publicly, from the council and city staff, City of New Ulm, congratulate you on the honor. I mean, as you're all aware, it was from the Minnesota Park and Recreation Association, the Nelson Niles Award for his professionalism with the board and Park and Rec involvement. So again, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Thank you.
That's it.
I'm going to, from the Sister Cities Commission, we're going to be looking for host families for this summer from July through September for our future Hans Joes exchange student. And then also for the Sister Cities Commission, we've been asked, the PUC is going to be hosting an intern coming up from April through September. So if anybody out there listening is interested in hosting potentially or has an interest in hosting, but we're going to be looking for multiple host families for this other rare opportunity that Chris Dalton presented to the commission. And being
Where are they
with
coming from?
Germany.
From Germany, okay.
And Chris might be able to shed a little light on that, about that PUC intern.
Yeah, so the PUC intern was an opportunity we got through being a participant in the Climate Smart Municipality. This is run through the University of Munster and University of Minnesota to get an engineering student in. They had a background in wastewater and water, so we were able to pair them with two projects that we have at our wastewater and water facility. So it was a good match. And potentially moving forward as we look at going carbon neutral through, 2040, we can get an intern that has a degree more geared towards, solar or, carbon neutral, or having a carbon neutral background to help us get, identify those projects and work on them so we can meet that goal. But it's a good opportunity.
Very good. I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Not commission or committee related, but the grant that we applied for through the Rural Welcoming Initiative, we did receive, so there'll be more information coming on that. So, Mayor?
Last week, we hosted a meeting for Network New Ulm. Several of the council people were involved in that, as was the city manager. It was a great opportunity to provide some insight into the operations of the city to those that were participating in Network New Ulm. And of course, as the mayor, I was promoting the boards and commissions. And I believe only one person in the room was aware of boards and commissions and that they are able to serve if they live within the city limits. And so that was
Got
enlightening.
to hand out some applications.
And yes, and 4 people wanted applications, and I encourage them to apply, even though we have made many of the appointments at our organization meeting at the beginning of the month, that people do resign or move on for other reasons. And so that was very interesting and exciting for me. But I also want to mention that last week, or the last city council meeting, I went to the firehouse and enjoyed visiting and getting to know better our volunteer firefighters as well as our staff. And boy, they know how to make some good ribs. So enjoyed that as well, and just getting to know that group better. And then also there was a meeting of the, I guess it's called the Steering Committee for Georges. And maybe, Chris, that's something that you want to shed some light on.
Actually, we'll be moving forward with one of the items tonight for council consideration, but that project is still moving forward. Still a lot of hurdles that we have to jump through to get to where we need to go. But tonight we'll be taking kind of that first step so we can start laying some foundation for what will be a development agreement in the future.
Lots of great updates. Thank you. Moving on to old business, item number 5.1, we have ordinance number 2024-079 for second consideration regarding building code and permits, section 1130. Nicole?
Don't know anything about this one.
That's funny that you're part of it. So this is just consideration for our long-term rental. This cleans up, clarifies the definition of a rental unit, residential rental unit, owner and registration holder, identifying this is applicable to rental units occupied for longer than 30 days or longer, procedural modifications for registration to be completed by December 31st of the subsequent year, clarification on inspection procedures and correcting violations, and then clarification on failure to comply with the ordinance. So just cleaning up some of that language.
That makes sense. I'll make a motion to conduct the second consideration of ordinance number 2024-079, approving the amendment of Chapter 11 of the City Code of the City of New Ulm relative to building codes and permits, Section 11.30.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. New business, item 6.1, appointment to the Planning Commission.
I'll offer a motion to approve the appointment of Linda Beck to the Planning Commission for a three-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Linda, and welcome to the Planning Commission. Item number 6.2, Battery Building Replacement Project. Mr. Schugel?
Thank you, Council President Becker and councilors. I'm here with you tonight to ask to go for bid for the battery building replacement project. And the current battery building, which is pictured in your packet, is located at 208 21st North Street. The city, along with the New Ulm Battery, have been working on this replacement project for the past few years. And city and Park and Rec staff have been working on building plans that meet the need for storage of the New Ulm Battery. So working very closely with the New Ulm Battery members on this. The current city-owned property has adequate space for this new building. You'll see that site plan in your packet as well. And the new battery building would be financed through restricted city capital improvement funds that, again, an account that was planned for this as well. Below, you'll see the project bid schedule on here. So if approved tonight, we would go to bid tomorrow with a bid deadline of Wednesday, February 28th, and a city council award on March 5th, and then a completion by mid-August of this year. But here with you tonight to answer any questions on the battery building replacement project.
I know this has been in the works for quite a few years, and I think some of us even went out and toured the building and took a look at it, and I think the battery folks have been waiting a long time for this new building. And I think it's well needed and well deserved. And I was kind of glad to hear that we're going to keep the building. We're not going to tear it down because it's big inside, and so we always need storage for something. Is there a plan at all yet for that?
So Councilor Schultz, good question. So it hasn't been determined at this point, you know, if and when that portion of the building could be demolished. So it is not included in this current proposal here, but at some point that could be the case depending if there isn't a future need of that space. I will say the stable area has been communicated by the battery that is still in use from time to time and is in pretty good shape. So that area could potentially stay and wasn't part of this replacement building.
And Nicole, we've been putting $25,000 a year for
50.
4 years or 50,000?
50.
We did 25,000 for 3 years and then 50,000 in '23. So there's a total of $125,000 available.
And that's what we're hoping the bid will come in right in that area. We'll find out, huh? Okay. I'm excited about this. I'm going to go ahead and offer the resolution approving the plans, specs, ordering advertisement for bids, set the bid opening date, and authorize staff to receive and open bids for the battery building replacement project on Wednesday, February 28th at 2 p.m. at the City Hall Council Chambers.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz? Yes. Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item number 6.3, award the bid for the Rec Center Fieldhouse Air Handler Unit Replacement.
Thank you, Council President Becker, councilors. Looking for authorization to award the bid for the Recreation Center Fieldhouse Air Handler Unit Replacement to the lowest bidder, which was Metcon Construction out of Faribault, Minnesota. You'll see that they have provided a base bid and two alternative bids that add up to $1,466,450. Throughout the bid process, we did have very good interest. You'll see in your packet, we did receive 6 bids that came in very close to each other. Again, this unit is 42 years old and is something that we are in dire need of replacing. If this is awarded, once we are out of heating season, we would look to get this project in as soon as we can. Again, here tonight to answer any questions that any of you may have.
What do we have in that account, Nicole?
So in the original renew funds, there is just over $1.8 million.
Nicole, that's excess tax then?
That's in the original renew portion. So
Okay.
that's, what's excess, what's left there
Excess,
for those
okay.
original projects.
Joey, is this our last air handler for that particular building? I know we've done a few heating systems and cooling since I've been involved.
You know, I'm not sure they're warrantying it for 42 years again, but we're shooting for that.
Work on that?
But I mean, this should take care of our last big expenditure for
Yes, and
HVAC for that
the
facility.
The way this was designed is it would tie in with the other system, and one of the alternatives would to ensure that. And we feel really good about the design and the layout of this replacement project.
Okay.
Hearing there's no other questions and the funding is available, I'll make a motion to authorize the bid award for the recreational fieldhouse air handler unit replacement project to the lowest bidder, Metcon Construction Incorporated out of Faribault, Minnesota as follows. $1,185,500 for the base bid air handler replacement, $35,850 for the alternative one fieldhouse
Destratification.
thank you, destratification fans, and $245,100 for the alternative to glycol protected loop.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.4, Engineering Department Vehicle Purchase.
Madam President, City Councilors, been working with the Public Works Superintendent to secure state contract prices for a new vehicle for the Engineering Department. The proposed new vehicle would be assigned to the Assistant City Engineer, with his current vehicle being assigned to the Stormwater Technician position. This was budgeted within my 2024 budget for the Engineering Department, but the quote that was received last May has shockingly gone up about almost $12,000. So that's why this is before you today. Just the increase in the quoted price. The quote was from the state bid contract process, so I'm looking for authorization to proceed with that today. I should note that the funding for this would be covered by the stormwater utility fee that's implemented beginning in July of this year.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and offer a motion to authorize the Public Works Superintendent to utilize state bid contracts to acquire a vehicle for Engineering Department with an estimated cost of $43,793.50.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Just one quick question for the engineer. Then this vehicle will go into the equipment revolving, correct?
Correct,
All
yep.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Moving down to item number 6.6, use of parking stalls by Misfit Crafters event coordinators. Sorry, 6.5, Public Works equipment replacement.
That one.
Hello, Mr. Hoffman.
Council President and councilors, before you is the equipment that is scheduled to be replaced in 2025. I'm coming to you now because it takes a year. I got to get it ordered. It takes a year to get it, so. Plow truck, the Sterling plow truck is an 04 right now, and that's going to be replaced, and the new truck is going to be set up with the brine attachment, so we will be able to add brine to our salt sand mixture. So, little grader, that's an 04 also. It's going to be 21 years old by the time we replace it. Park mower, 2 park mowers basically, and then a skid steer for the cemetery. So, and these are all off the state bid. So a lot of them I have to get in by the end of the month to get them ordered, so I can get this year's state pricing.
Being these are always routine replacements for us, and I understand with the economy in the world today, we have to order ahead of time. I'll authorize the city manager to prepare specifications, secure bids or quotes, or use state bid contracts to acquire equipment and vehicles for 2025. Estimated cost of $548,126.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Just a question, what kind of mileage do those plow trucks have after 21 years? Any idea?
They're beat up.
But I'm just curious.
Miles is,
Because, I mean, we use them a lot now in the summer too with our reconstruct and our seal coating. So they get quite a few miles. They're right around 70, 100, somewhere right in there.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Now, item 6.6, use of parking stalls by Misfit Crafters event coordinators.
Council President, councilors, before you have a request that we get every year for the Misfit Craft vendor event that takes place in the City Hall parking lot. Haven't had any issues with cleanup or anything. I think this is a good event that you can see off of Broadway. They get some pretty good traffic there, so I don't have any issues having this on Saturdays.
I'll make a motion to authorize the use of 30 parking stalls by the Misfit Crafters event coordinators located on the 2nd North and Broadway Street parking lot adjacent to City Hall to hold Shop the Lot craft and vendor shows on the following Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The dates include May 18th, 2024, June 15th, July 27th, August 17th, and September 14th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.7, earmark of funds for George's Ballroom demolition.
Council President, councilors, before you, you just have a request to earmark the $500,000 for the demolition of George's Ballroom. We did get a quote in from Landwehr in the amount of $757, and so I just want to have $500,000 earmarked just in case there's some unforeseen that goes in, because who knows what's going to happen once they get in there a little bit, but that should take care of it, and this will be a 50-50 split with the county, so the county will also be approving up to $500,000, and we'll hopefully be making that decision next week as well. We're just doing this as the first step so that we can lock in that price. I want to make sure we can get that in, that price locked in, because there's, again, like I said previously, there's still some hoops we have to jump through to get land transferred and all of that, so kind of just the building blocks at this point.
Big step, but finally getting inching along.
Right.
Yeah, slow process.
Time to invest in rat and mouse traps as well for demolition day.
We'll see.
Leak.
Terry, what do you think?
I will say, too, I'll just make a note that as a member on the steering committee, the bid that came in at that price was much lower, and we did go through. They use a different process, and that's why they can do that. But it is, I asked a lot of questions. It's a solid bid. It was definitely lower, and the earmark is for up to the $500,000. So hopefully, if they come in where they said, some of that will not be needed, but
You never know.
Is the biggest fear asbestos? Or what could elevate the cost drastically?
Again, when you dig underground, something's under there that's unforeseen that they don't know. Basically, almost, I would say, everything or almost everything is going to have to be hauled to a hazmat landfill. Transporting that is going to be, a cost, but their process, like I said, is going to be a little bit different. So again, I think it's just asbestos, lead, mold, all of that combined. It just makes it not good.
So at the end of the day, we'll have a shovel-ready property for future development is the intent. That would just be...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have a developer interested.
Yeah.
So we're doing it primarily to help get that property
Ready for them.
redeveloped into something usable. And so I think we don't really have a choice. It's going to fall down on us one of these days if we don't do something.
Yeah, and part of that demo process, though, they will have to look at the Georgia sign to see if that can be salvageable. That's one of the stipulations. And as they're walking through, if there's anything salvageable, which I don't think there is, but they have to go through and just make sure if there's something salvageable, they can. Fair enough.
in mint condition, right?
That's part of the stipulation from the state. So the two stipulations before they tear it down. But
10-4.
I know people have been asking about the sign. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so that sign, we'll see what happens when they start unscrewing to see if it just crumbles. I mean, standing under that side, you can see it's completely rusted out. Is it going to crumble under its own weight? So they'll have to look at how they can take that down. If they can, but the state is aware that if it's not salvageable, something will be on site denoting what it was, and they'll have access to
Gary's
the video.
backyard.
Yes, we'll have access to the video that was created for George's, on a loop or something like that, potentially in their lobby. But something will have to kind of take its place, denoting what was there.
So are you anticipating that this will be in 2024, this action?
Hopefully, yes. For all intents and purposes, yes. But again, the hoops we have to jump through to transfer the land and stuff like that will be kind of that hurdle/barrier, but we'll work through that as well.
Well, if we have the demo bid, they can't sit on it too long before they're going to raise that price too.
I know.
So
Yep.
Clock
we
is
do have to
ticking.
get moving on it.
Yep.
So,
Keep it moving here, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm going to go ahead and approve an earmark of $500,000 for general fund balance for the demolition of George's Ballroom.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.8, strategic plan RFPs.
Council, President, councilors, this is just a request for us to release the RFP for the strategic plan. We've kind of been building up to this from zoning ordinance to comprehensive plan, now the strategic plan. Again, this will be a huge undertaking, and it'll be the city's first strategic plan. So a very big milestone and step to get what are the city's priorities for the future? What are under the priorities, what are those strategies to get there? There's going to be a lot of community input to go along with this. There'll be some, you're going to have to give up potentially a Saturday afternoon at some point or a Saturday to sit down with a consultant to really talk about that stuff. But this is going to be a community-wide event, and we're going to try and really reach out to the citizens and get feedback on what they feel the city's priorities should be. Then get a consensus and then present those to council for you to determine what those priorities are. Then from those priorities, go back out in the community and ask, okay, what are the goals under these priorities that you as citizens, feel we should be doing? Compile all that, bring that information back to council and really set those. And then the consultant will be kind of set loose to develop the strategies to achieve those goals along with a timeline. So this will probably be a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, and then we'll be able to update as we hit those milestones or as we start ticking stuff off, and it'll be kind of a living, breathing document that will kind of guide us into the future.
Well, strategic plans always follow a case plan, and well-run cities have both, and they usually have current ones. And what's the timeline to finish up the comprehensive plan?
So we're looking at bringing that to the Planning Commission, hopefully next month, February. So it'll be for your adoption in March. So as the strategic plan consultants get on board, that'll be completed and done.
Thank you.
Looking forward to this. So you have actual
I did last year,
direction
if you remember.
and input and where the future of New Ulm lies. And I know that that's where a lot of your world revolves around. And I'm excited to be a part of it and see what actually happens and get the community's input. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for proposal and authorize the city manager to distribute, accept, and review proposals for consulting services and to prepare the city strategic plan.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6.9, acquisition of real property for development purposes.
Council President, councilors, before you, you have a request to execute a settlement agreement and a quitclaim deed for the properties that were located on the corner of Maplewood and Highland. There was a workforce housing project proposed there, about 112 units, give or take. And when that project was planned, interest rates were low. That project was eventually placed on hold due to the increase in interest rates and them unable to secure financing for that gap, which created another problem. The engineering firm that they hired for the project hasn't been paid, so they eventually placed a lien on that property, and it's going to go to sheriff's auction on the 19th. So working with that engineering firm and our attorney, we're looking at doing a settlement agreement with Hope Housing to release their claim, have them sign the quit claim deed over to the city. And then the city has received funding for a workforce housing project, which we can use in acquisition. So we're looking for you to also approve use of that funding in an amount not to exceed $45,000, so we can cover that lien. The potential developer that is going to come in and do the project as intended is aware they do have to pay the back taxes on that property, and the special assessments that are on there, they will take care of the special assessments as well. So no other outside of potential tax abatement, there will be no other subsidy for that project.
So Chris, currently, we purchased the land, we gave it to this developer, they defaulted on their taxes, is why we're here today. And
No,
we
it's
got
the mechanic lien. It's not the
Mechanic
tax.
lien.
The mechanic lien that was placed on the property. Yep.
And you feel pretty confident that this development will go forward?
Yes.
Was this the other bid for the development of the area? Wasn't there two? Didn't we have two claims
Not
for that?
for that
this
one. That
location.
was purely a developer wanting the property to do the project there.
Okay.
Well, I think we have to move forward, and if we've got another fish on the line, we better try and to try to avoid it being tied up with, an auction and things of that capacity. So I'm going to offer motion to authorize the city manager and finance director to execute a settlement agreement and quick claim deed with HHF Dreamville New Ulm LLC to acquire property 001.190.024.08.025 and 001.42.000.00.020.
Zero.
And authorize the use of the city's affordable housing aid in the amount not to exceed $45,000 to redeem the property.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.10, Park and Rec donations.
Council President Betker and councilors, looking for acceptance of the following donations. First, for the our youth tennis program from Carol and Roger Ryberg in the amount of $2,500. A German Park paver stone for $200 from Lisa Besmer honoring Pastor Robert and Sue Hellman. The Isaac Walton League for $1,000 to Riverside Environmental Center, and also the Isaac Walton League for $1,000 for the Pollinator Park. And then Riverside Park paver stone from the Narin of New Ulm honoring Kathy Wire for $100.
I'll offer a resolution to accept the donations offered to the city of New Ulm through the Park and Rec Department as outlined by Joey Schugel.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Item number 6.11, Police Department donations.
Well, I'll offer the resolution to accept the monetary donations from the New Ulm Police Department as followed. $50 from Cletus and Dolores Skoblish to support National Night Out, and $100 from Marsha Halverson to support the New Ulm Police Department K-9 program.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz? Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. With no additional business on the docket at this time, this meeting is adjourned.
Moving forward. It's exciting.
It really is.